Hi everybody, Lisa Saberniak here from lifelikeyoumeanit.com, coming to you live to continue our Survivor to Warrior self-help series by today talking about how we are choosing our own lessons in life. So this was a very crucial concept for me to get back in when I was in my 20s. And it really had the power of completely changing my victimhood. So, up until I learned this lesson or I learned this concept and started to apply it, I really lived in victimhood. Everything that was happening around me was being done to me, right? When somebody yelled at me or, somebody wasn't as kind to me as they could have been, then I had no concept that that could be about them, that it could be their issues, right? Their life, that day that's unfolded for them. It was all about me because I was a victim, right? That's how I really felt at that time. And so it really felt like the world revolved around me, and everybody that was doing everything was doing it purposely to try to hurt me or teach me my place, put me in my place, teach me where I belonged in this world, or something along those lines. And me starting to look at spirituality and look at the concept of choice, decision, having a higher self, having a soul, and reincarnating into this world and choosing the lessons that we want to learn in this world, and also choosing the people who will help us to learn those lessons, and also being chosen by other people to help them learn their lessons. This concept blew my mind, and it changed everything because it gave me my power back. It really 100% truly and wholly made me feel like I had power. Now, I know that this can be a very controversial topic, and it can be a very difficult one to wrap our heads around when we have really horrible events that have happened to us and really clear examples of people taking advantage, of people going out of their way to hurt and cause us great pain. It can be very difficult to sit there and think that we actually chose for that to happen. So let me get into this a bit. So I do believe in reincarnation. I believe that we have a soul. I believe that there is a source point of energy that we are all connected to. And so we are all part of each other and part of that source energy. So I believe that when our physical body dies, our soul will be returned to point source, and we will have the opportunity to reflect upon our life. And when we do that, we have all of the knowledge back of what we had planned to accomplish when we were here. Not just accomplish in terms of, who we wanted to be or how we wanted to grow, but accomplish in terms of the very specific lessons that we set out for ourselves, the purpose that we had for our own life, as well as the intention that we had to help other people on their path. And so I feel that we reflect upon that after we have passed, and we build up kind of an archive, if you will, of knowledge that we have had lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And when we're ready, we decide we're going to give this another go. And when we make that decision, say, okay, this is where I was at in my last life. So, this life, what I want to do is I want to learn this. I want to have purpose. Hi, Jay. Nice to see you here. I want to have this as my purpose. I want to help this many people. I'm going to make a pact with these souls here to help them in learning their life lessons. And I'll make pact with other souls for them to help me learn my life lesson. And so it goes. And I believe that, in this realm, after we have passed, when we are with point source, I don't believe that time exists at that dimension. And so I believe very specifically that we actually do know what is going to be in store for us when we are born to certain parents, right? So sometimes you hear me talk about how I couldn't have known that my mom and my dad wouldn't have stayed together, that I decided to be born to them specifically, and then things unfolded. But the truth is I do believe that I would have known exactly that that's what would have happened, and that exactly who the next soul would be that my mom would come into contact with, because he is the very person who made the pact with me to help me learn my life lesson. And he also happens to be my abuser. So for me, I had to have known that my mom and my dad would have gotten divorced. The people that I would have been born to were going to get divorced, and that this other man was going to come into my mom's life and hence my life, because his soul made a pact with my soul to teach me my greatest lesson in life. The thing is that when we come back into a body, when we reincarnate, we don't remember any of that stuff. Or if we do, as we grow, that part of our brain does not contain that memory any longer, right? For lots of different reasons, perhaps. Maybe we're supposed to forget, and that's part of the journey. Or maybe it's so different from what we start to learn when we're here that our brains can't handle it, and so we just discard that information, right? Who knows? I don't know. But what I do know is that we all forget, right? And so this person came then into my life, his soul, knowing that he's made a pact with my soul to teach me this lesson, but he is now a human being who has had his own experiences in life and now has his own choices. And he gets to choose how he is going to treat me. And it's not his higher self that's choosing to abuse me and torment me and all of the things that happened. A higher self is as close to point energy as you can get. Your higher self is your true version of you, of your energy, of your spirit, your soul, your energy. There's no way that that higher self is evil in any kind of way. So he wasn't guided to do what he did to me from his higher self. He was choosing that from his ego, right? From his ego that had a whole life before he met me, an ego that was trying to meet its own needs. And so just did whatever he wanted and needed to do in order to meet those needs. So here's the thing: when I start to understand that we made this choice, that I chose to be born to my mom and my dad, knowing what I was going to, the adversity that I would struggle with them as my parents, and then they would divorce, and then this other person would come into my life, and knowing that there was a very large chance that this was all going to be in the very, very negative, that gives me purpose and a shift in how I was looking at what happened to me. All of a sudden, in that moment, instead of going to, victim, 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 and, he did this to me and poor me, why me? All of a sudden, I started to think of it as, well, if I chose this so that I could learn my lesson, that this is all part of my journey to get me on my path, so that I can actually learn what I need to learn and I can have purpose in this life as I choose to have, then this is actually very empowering that I've been through this, because now it's my ego that makes the choice, right? My higher self knew what I was capable of. My higher self knew that when I had these types of things happen, that I would be able to thrive because of it. Now it's my ego getting in my way from being able to do that. So now I get a choice, right? I get another choice. Here in this body, I get to choose. Am I going to discard my life lesson because of the way it was presented to me? Or am I going to go ahead and learn it? Now, my abuser didn't teach me my life lesson in the end because he chose to do things in such a negative way. He didn't teach me my value, my worth. He didn't teach me how to love myself, respect myself, accept myself. Those are my life lessons in this life. I'm absolutely 100% certain. He didn't teach me those things. In fact, he taught me the opposite of those things. But he did, in teaching me the opposite of those things, present a path to me. And so I can choose to walk down this side of the path where I completely ignore the opportunity that is given. I believe him, somebody who I don't trust and respect at all as a human, as the ego side of him, and I could go down that path and say, yeah, I'm unworthy, I'm a horrible person, I am ugly, stupid, worthless, useless, and I could choose to decide that that is my lesson in life, which I did for many, many years. Or I could turn around and say, just because I don't like how this was presented doesn't mean that I can't actually go through and do the work to learn the lesson. He didn't teach it to me. He threw me into the dark hole that I then had to find my strength to climb out of to get to the light. And in doing that, I was able to actually learn my life lesson, right? That I am worthy, that I do have value, that I can contribute greatly to this world, that I am worth loving, that I am a beautiful soul. All right, these are the lessons that I have learned through that experience. And that's what I chose to learn. And I even chose to learn them in this way. It's just not a human decision that I made, right? It was from a higher perspective. The human decision that I made was to go ahead and actually learn the lesson, even though I was angry as heck that I was put in this position, even though I felt like a victim of everything, right? Even though I felt like I shouldn't have to do the work because I wasn't the one that did the wrongdoing, even through all of those things, I get to make the human decision of what I'm going to do from here. And luckily for me, this moment in learning about choosing our life lessons as spirit is exactly what allowed me to actually choose to go ahead and learn my life lessons and actually create something very beautiful out of something that was so savage. So now I know that I am the person that I am today because of what happened, not despite it, right? Because of what happened. Find my strength through that rather than using the word despite, which makes it sound like I'm trying to forget that it ever happened, right? I'm actually choosing to remember that it happened and realize, recognize, and celebrate my strength for getting through what happened and being able to learn my life lessons because of it. It's an incredibly empowering feeling.